Hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. Today, as you know, we're doing on Outlook integration with ACT for Windows and Web. And leading us through the demo is Michael Cadlib. He's our Manager of Support Services. And on the call, we also have Ken Quigley. He is our founder and president of the company. So a couple of things I want to clarify ahead of time is thanks for the contact information there, Michael. You can see it on our screen there. One of the things we'll do is we will take questions as we go through. Michael will be breaking periodically and we can ask some questions. So please post the questions in the box on the side there. And then we'll also have time at the end for more general questions if you have them regarding the products. So with that, I also want to mention that the session will be recorded, and at the end of the webinar we'll show you where to find it on our website, because we post them there usually within 24 hours of doing the presentation. So with that, Michael, why don't you take it away?
Vic, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. One request I do have from you guys today, since we are talking about Outlook and ACT for Outlook, I'm assuming most of you people on the call either have it or will have it shortly. What I'd like you to do at some point today would be to test your Outlook out and send our own Courtney a happy birthday wish, if you could, at some point today. It's her birthday today, so it'd be great to test out your ACT for Outlook. There's her email. Go ahead, jot that down, and like I said, just shoot her a quick note wishing her a happy birthday today.
Superb.
Okay, we're going to get started here.
And I just want a quick note, it looks like we have hit our maximum attendees of 150.
All right. So first thing we're going to do is go over the settings of ACT for Outlook, and then we'll talk about ACT for Mail after that. So we're going to do ACT for Outlook first. The main difference between the two, aside from some settings behind the scenes, is going to be that ACT for Outlook is built to work with a local copy of your database, so the desktop version of ACT, where ACT for Mail is built more for the ACT for Web. So if you're a web-only user, you're going to be using ACT for Mail. If you're a remote database user, or if you just have a standalone copy of ACT, you're going to want to use ACT for Outlook. Okay, so once again, the first thing we're going to do is ACT for Outlook. The functionality between the two is almost the same, but the settings are a little bit different between the two. So I just want to clarify that. So when you install either one, you're gonna see these settings up in the top right-hand corner of your Outlook. Okay, ACT for Outlook settings and ACT database settings. First thing you're going to want to do when you first open it up is go to your ACT for Outlook settings. And this is where you're going to want to point it to your database that you're going to be using. Okay, so I have it pointing to a local copy of my database. You put in your username. If you have a password, you include that as well. You click the login button to test it. And as long as you have everything correct, it'll come back with a successful test. And it's usually a little quicker than that.
While we're waiting for that to connect, I just wanted to cover some quick feature gaps between, because most people are noticing that we're jumping directly into ACT for Outlook as opposed to reviewing the native integration. This webinar is presented as enhanced Outlook integration, so we're going to be covering, you know, the add-on that we offer. One of the basic features that people buy the add-on for, not just for you know, improved and more reliable Outlook integration, but also feature distinctions like being able to select multiple items from an inbox and say create lookup, or a single email and say go to contact. So those are features that, you know, we've used, like I personally use extensively each and every single day. The other thing that's really big is that a lot of people have said that they often they want to attach histories, email histories, to not just contacts, but other tables within the database as well. So groups, companies, opportunities, things like that. That is not a feature that is supported with the current Outlook integration. So that's something that, you know, we offer with Act for Outlook and Act for Mail as well. So those are, you know, some of the basic features, not just, you know, fixing it or making something work that previously didn't. It's also enhanced reliability and enhanced features. So I just wanted to cover that because we've really built this as an enhanced integration. Are you ready?
Yep. Thanks, Ken. If you notice there, what Outlook looked like, what Outlook was doing was my antivirus or behind the scenes or Outlook was thinking that the program was not compatible, and that's why you saw the disabled message. I'm not sure if you guys were looking, but when I opened up Outlook, there was an add-on disabled, and so I had to re-enable it. So sometimes that will happen with Outlook. Anytime Outlook has a program attached to it that takes a little bit more time than usual to open, it sort of freaks out and says, you know, I don't want you part of me, and it disabled it. So it's a quick fix, as you saw there, to enable it. So, okay, so we get our message here that we logged into it successfully. Now, the first time you do this, after you do these settings that we're going to do, I've already set this up already myself before, but the first time you actually do this with the history recording and the incoming messages, what you're going to want to do is, once you have all your settings in place, shut down Outlook to let the preferences store, and then reopen Outlook for your settings to sort of take place, okay? The history recording tab, this is where you tell it what you want it to do when it's recording that history back into Act, okay? What do you want your history type to be? Subject only, subject in the body, or do you want some sort of an attachment flavor attached to the history? Be aware that any of those last three with attachments can grow your database at an exponential rate if you are attaching large files to your history. So just something to be aware of with those last three. Some of these other options we have here. So we have attach emails to Act database users. If that's checked, that means that when you email another user in your company, it's going to attach it to their history. We leave this off by default because many times when you send an email in our office, you don't want that email necessarily attached to Act. Because typically it's something, you know, within the office, or a lot of times it might be some confidential information. Okay, but if you do want that checked, you simply check that box. Make history private. So if you want the histories to always be private just to yourself and nobody else, if you're sharing this database with other users, you can have that check, and then by default it'll be private. This next one's a really nice one, because what this allows you to do, what it says here is attach all sent messages even if they are not sent from this machine. So let me explain what that means. So I have my Exchange account, okay, and I have it set up on this machine here in this Outlook, and I have it on my iPhone, I have it on my iPad, okay. I travel, or you know, maybe later at night I'm not on my computer necessarily, but I'm checking some emails from my phone or my iPad. I send those emails or reply to emails. I get back the next day, open my computer up. It's then going to go through my sent folder and see any of those emails I sent, because I have this checked, and it's going to attach those records to the people that are in Act. Okay, so basically that means that you can send an email from your iPad or your iPhone, and it's going to attach to your Act database the next time you open up your Outlook, if you have that box checked. This last one where it says change icon for mail messages that are attached successfully. Basically what that will do is in Outlook, you'll see a little attachment or a little icon next to it that lets you know that particular message has been attached. I think we added that pretty recently. A couple of our clients actually requested that because they wanted to know it when they quickly looked at their inbox and or sent box, they wanted to see which messages had already been put into Act. The next section here, history linking. If you have either of those checked, it's going to link to either the company automatically and or the contact's open opportunities. So let's say you're emailing a contact and they have 4 opportunities that are open. That email is going to be automatically linked to each of those opportunities on that opportunity history tab. Okay. Excluded accounts. So this is going to be useful if you have multiple email accounts within your Outlook. As you see here, I only have one set up in today's session here, but you may have your work email in there, and maybe you have your personal email account so it's all in one place. But any of those emails you send from your personal Gmail account or Yahoo or Hotmail, what have you, you don't want those necessarily to be recorded into Act. Okay, so what you would do is you would check that. Let's pretend this was my personal email. I would check that box, and then any emails from that particular email account would not get recorded back into ACT. Okay, obviously in this case you don't want to check your main one because then nothing gets recorded. Incoming messages. This is if you want to auto attach anything that's incoming to you. Now be careful with this, okay? Because when you think about it, most people, when they're dealing with email, they're responding to probably a majority of their emails. Okay, at least I know in my case, I probably respond to the emails that come into me. I probably respond to maybe 80, 90% of them. So those replies that I do to people, they're getting attached to the record because anything that's getting sent out gets recorded to the history. So that would, if I had this checked as well, that would mean the incoming email gets attached and the outgoing one, which is almost like a double kill there. Okay. Now, if you're in a situation where you get a lot of emails, but maybe you don't reply to a lot of them, you don't reply to the majority of them, this may be a good situation for you. So then any emails that come into your inbox automatically get attached to that record as long as that email address is in ACT. Okay. And you can even ignore certain domains. So if you're, maybe ignore your own domain, or if if you're working with certain vendors, you don't want their emails attached, you can put all their domains in there and just keep adding the domains that you don't want to auto attach to your email, to your history. I'm sorry. And the last setting here we have is update. I usually advise people to leave this unchecked. This will basically, every time Outlook will open, it'll check if there's an update out there for ACT for Outlook or ACT for Mail. And then it would, if it has one, it'll say, hey, here's an update. Please download and install this. And it's a quick couple of next buttons to install it. And you're then on the latest update of that particular program. The only issue we've seen with that, if you do have that checked, is if you don't have like local admin rights to your computer, your IT folks may need to do that install for you and may need to lessen the, or give you some more rights to install that temporarily. Okay. One other menu we almost missed here was the About menu at the top. Okay. And the one thing you want to concern yourself with here is if you need to switch computers. So let's say my laptop's on its last leg and I'm going to get a new one. Because ACT for Outlook and ACT for Mail are licensed per computer, you need a license per each computer. So if you're getting rid of a laptop, what you need to do is get rid of it or delete that license from that laptop so that then you can then register it on your new laptop and or computer. So what you would do is you would go to About ACT for Outlook. This screen is going to pop up, and there's a little button here that says Delete License. Now, I'm not going to click that right now because I don't want to delete mine, but basically you would delete that, and then you would be able to then register it on another computer. Okay.
Michael, one thing, just so you're aware, we currently have in development a feature where it should be done in the next month or so, where if you simply uninstall the program, it will prompt you to delete the license. So that'll make it
beautiful.
For people.
Thanks. Okay. One other thing here. If we ever ask you, like if you have an error message perhaps with ACT for Outlook, or something's not attaching, something's just not working properly, and we send you an email and say, okay, please send us your log file so that we can review that and see what's going on. If you go here, there's an option, View Logs. And when you click that, it's going to take you right to the log file area. And then you would just maybe email us the last couple of days of logs. Okay, they're all just little small text files. You can just email those to us. And then that will allow us to look at those to see where the problem may lie. Whether it be, it might be a bad password, might be that the contact or the email was not in ACT, could be a variety of things. That allows us to get you a resolution much quicker. Okay. All right, so that's it for the settings. Vic, any questions so far on any of the settings?
No, I think we're good on that so far.
Okay, good. All right, so once again, if this was the first time you had did this, once you got out of those settings, you'd want to close ACT, open it back up, make sure everything was working properly. Now, the other setting that you want to worry, that's the setup settings. The other setting you want to worry about is the database settings, and that's the next icon up here on the top. And this allows you to map your Outlook fields to your ACT fields. And the reason for this, there's not a sync between the two. So I just want to make sure that everybody out there knows the difference here. It's not going to be an Act to Outlook sync where the data is syncing back and forth as far as contact data. But what you do have the ability to do is if you have a contact in Outlook. So let's say you entered a contact on your phone in your contact section, and your phone and your Outlook are syncing. That contact will then obviously go to your Outlook on your computer in they call it the people section, I think now. And then you can actually right click on that contact and send it over to Act. And this is where you do the mapping so that the fields get mapped and the data gets mapped correctly there. Okay. And you can also send activities over as well. And so the activity settings, when you right click on an activity in Outlook to send it over, it's going to default as an Act meeting in Act. But you can choose your default right here of what you want it to be once it comes over into Act by default. You can obviously change it, but this would be the default that it does. By having this box checked here, automatically show the create activity window whenever items are added to the calendar. That's sort of a neat feature because let's say you added an item, you got an invite from somebody to have a meeting tomorrow or a phone call. You accept that meeting obviously goes into your Outlook calendar like it normally does. What it'll also do is it'll pop up a create activity window for you to create the activity and throw it into Act. Okay. History settings. This is going to be the history setting for any incoming messages that you're attaching. So in case you want the history setting to be different than an outgoing message, you can have the history type be something specific for an incoming message so that you know the difference between incoming and outgoing. And you would just select whatever your history that you want in there. This is something that we just added recently. So many of you may have not seen this if you're using the product. Contact exclusion settings. Okay. So if you don't want to record a history for somebody whose their Act field equals a certain value, you can do so. Maybe everybody who's if the Act field equals vendor, or I'm sorry, the ID status field equals vendor, or the ID status field equals employee, because everybody who's an employee at your company, maybe you don't want them to have a history recorded either, whether they're an Act user or not. So you can choose any field and then put the value into that field there. Or possibly a certain domain. The Act email field equals a certain domain. You don't want to record certain emails that are a certain domain either.
Let me just jump in because I know the use case for this. What we had is a wealth manager that wanted to be able to suppress email history on a contact by contact basis. So he created a field and he was able to literally say, select the drop down and say, don't record any history to this contact ever, because it always pertained to sensitive financial information. And we thought that was a great feature, so we incorporated it in the product so that there wasn't any sensitive information ever recorded to history.
Thanks, Ken. Okay. Vic, any questions on the settings?
Oh, I think we're good.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to save those and move on to the actual usage of the software, okay? So I've got a couple emails here from some of my coworkers. They've been nice enough to send me some test emails. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to look at this email. And this person, this contact Nav, he's not in my Act database right now. So I'm going to right-click on this email. And before I create the contact in Act, I just want to go over some of the menu items that you see here. So these items that you see here, these are going to be whenever you have the program installed, when you right-click, you're going to see these additional menu items on your right-click for Outlook. So we have Go to Contact, which if that contact's in Act, you select that, it's going to go to that Act record, which is a great feature. I use it all day long. When I get emails from people, I right-click, Go to Contact, and it's right on their record. Quick Attach Email to Contact. That will send that email right to that contact record, attach it. Send email to Act. If I select that, it's going to pop up a window and then allow me to link it to somebody else. So the email is from Nav, but maybe it's regarding somebody else or another company. So then I can go in here to link the contacts, find the contact that I want to link it to. Let's say it's Don. And then now that email is linked to Don, and maybe it's regarding a certain opportunity. So I select the opportunity it's regarding. And now it's going to be linked to both of those items. And it's going to be, and when I say link to, it's going to be actually on those two history tabs of those two entities. Once I hit the send button.
And just a quick pause here. When you click on link to contacts, with the native integration, you're often forced to search by the last name only. This will allow you to search by any part of their name. So it's much easier to find the contacts you want to attach.
Yeah, let's just review that again. So when you're searching up here, it's basically a contains of their name. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's say for Anderson, if I just put in Der, gonna find Anderson, Federico. Okay, gonna find all the different combinations of that. And it's looking, if I'm not mistaken, Ken, looks in contact, company, and email, right? Looks in all three sections.
I believe so, but mostly what I find challenging when I'm doing this with the native one is that I have to search by the surname only. So even if I know the person's first name, I can't use it.
Yep. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this contact in Act. Okay. So I'm going to right click and create contact in Act. And I can choose which fields I want to line up here in this settings box here. So I've already done that, but if you wanted to add additional fields that you want to track, you click the settings and add whatever fields you want to, typically when you create a new contact, what are the fields that you're going to enter data on? Okay. That's typically what you're going to want to have here. So I just put in, I didn't put in all the fields here. I just put in a few. Now by default, what's going to happen is the email address, as you see that gets auto-populated. The contact name gets populated, and that's based upon whatever name they have in their email. So it may still be that email address, depending on how they have their email set up, and then you might have to type that in there. And then you type in whatever else you know about them. Okay, you can put in as much information as you want here. The other neat thing up here, where it says create and link contact the company. So if I want to create the company automatically from this, I can just click that, and then it's going to create both the contact, nav, and the company keystroke. Let's go ahead and create that. Let me know it's successful. And let's go over to my Act. I'll look up nav. There he is with his email, company. As you see, it's linked here. And if I click on that, it'll take me to the company section and have keystroke there. Okay. Very quick. It's already in the database very quickly. All right, let's go back to Outlook now. And from this email, I'm going to create an activity. Once again, it's a right click, create activity. It always defaults to the current day and 9 a.m. that day. And if you want to change it to a different time or date, you can. Select whatever day you want, whatever time you want. You can make it timeless. You can make it private. Select your activity type. If you want an alarm with that, priority, who it's scheduled for. This is just the one user in this demo database, but if you have a multi-user database, you'll have a list of all your users there. Your regarding. By default, it's going to pull in whatever the subject is of the email, which is really nice. And then if you want it to be something different, you can obviously type over that. If you wanted to schedule that meeting in Outlook as well, you could check that. Then it's going to go in Outlook. And once again, if your Outlook is syncing with your phone, it's going to go to your phone's calendar also. So that's sort of one way to get your content or your activities over to Outlook as well and to your phone. Down here, by default, it's linking to that contact that it matches with. Once again, I can link it to companies, groups, opportunities, and or my contact record as well. Lastly, the details is going to be the body of the email. So whatever's in the body of the email is going to show up in the details there. You can delete it, put in your own details, or leave it as is. Click the create button. And then I'm just going to respond here so we can show you how the history gets recorded as well. Apply. And then send. Now, one of the things that you need to be aware of is that, let me reply again here. I'll show you, I forgot. There's these two other buttons up top here. Okay, so I just hit the regular send button on that. Let's say I'm responding to him, but I don't want it to record to the history. I would click the button here, send without attaching. because maybe it's an email that I don't need to have a history for it. I just, I'm responding back to confirm a meeting or something like that. So I hit send without attaching. Email gets sent, but there's no attaching. Okay, no recording of the history. Let's say I'm sending to Nav, but maybe I want to record to additional people. In that case, instead of the send button, I'm going to hit the send and link button in the upper left. As you see here, it's already linked to Nav, okay? But I want to add additional context that I'm going to link it to. Let's do George and Ashley. Those are easy to find. Hit OK. So now the email is only going to Nav, okay? But it's going to be recorded on George's and Ashley's history record in ACT. It's not going to be sent to them, though. And in this case, too, when you do it like this, you can also change your history type. Maybe this one, maybe I have a PDF in here or something, so I want the attachment included and the body as well. So I'll do everything. And now that gets sent over to ACT. Now, one thing with those two buttons there, those don't show up if you have the little pop, if you have that email that just when you reply to it, it shows up in this side window here. So to turn off that side window, let me show you where that's at in preferences for or your options, I should say. File, options, and this is in Outlook, by the way. File options, and then mail, where it says replies and forwards. Okay, you want to make sure open, replies, and forwards are in a new window. Because otherwise, if you have that unchecked, it has that little, like I said, little preview window. And if you do that, you're not going to have those additional buttons there, so then you don't have all the full features of ACT for Outlook. Okay, so you want to make sure that's checked to be able to do those other things. All right, so let's go over back to ACT. And let's look at Nav. So here's that activity we scheduled. And there's the details from the body of the email. And if we go to our history, here's the first reply I sent to him. And then here's the additional reply with the attachment there. If I click that, it opens up the email. And if I were to go to George, I would see that same email on George's record. There it is. Okay, and also it would be on Ashley's as well. All right. So as you see here, I'm on George's contact record. Okay, I'm going to go back to Outlook. And I'm going to right click on Nav and select Go to Contact Now. Go back to ACT, and now I'm on his record. All right. I can't tell you how big of a time saver that is. I seriously, I use that constantly throughout the day when I'm getting emails from our clients. It's simply just to right click and then go to that contact. Okay. Let me show you another way that we can do that. Let me create another contact in ACT. Create this one. So if you highlight multiple emails in Outlook, the go to contact goes away, but now you have the option to create a lookup in ACT. So basically it's going to go to both those contacts. It's going to create a lookup of those two contacts. So now there's those two contacts. Okay. So this is great. Let's say you just got 10 emails from 10 different people in Outlook, and you want to go to their record to whatever, update their some kind of a status. Right click on highlight all 10, right click, look up contacts, and it takes you to their records. Okay. See, do I have any people in here? I don't think I do. Okay, I do. Actually, I created one. Okay. So I created Greg Davis here in Outlook, and I don't believe he's in my ACT. Let me just make sure. He is, but let me delete him here. Delete contact. Delete. Okay, he's gone. All right, so we're back in Outlook here. So he's a contact here in Outlook. I want to get him over into ACT. So to do that, in Outlook here, I right click on him. First option there is send contact to ACT. Click on that. Hit send. Click OK. And then now he's back in there. Okay. Let's go back to Outlook and let's go to our calendar. And I think I have one from Greg. Let's see here. And I have one from Nav here. So I'm going to right click on that activity. And there's an option here, send activity to Act. And because it was from Nav's email address, it looks for that email address. Now I'm going to go to Nav's record. And there's that activity that was sent from Outlook.
Michael, there's a question here.
Yes.
Is there a way to record history for additional emails? Example, if I have Jenny as the main contact and Daniel in the additional emails field, and I email Daniel, Act does not record the email in the history.
Yeah, so here I'll put Vic's email here as a personal, as the other email. Okay, save it. Okay, so we're emailing a second email field. And yes, it will show up. So basically any fields, and they have to be an email type field. So if you go into define fields, so as you see here, this database here has 3 email type fields. They have to be, so the field label itself could be email, that doesn't matter. It's the actual field type. So by default in your databases, there's a field called email and there's a field called personal email. Now in your own databases, you may have changed those names or you may have added additional ones or you may have renamed them, okay? You can have as many as you want, but you just need to know that the field type needs to be email, and Act for Outlook and Act for Mail both, they'll check all the email fields on that record, and if you find it, it's going to attach it to that particular contact record, even if it's not the main email field. Anything else, Vic?
And another question is, will it attach emails to secondary contacts?
Secondary contacts don't have history.
Right. So knows the answer to that. Well, for those people who do have secondary contacts, I would, with the way that Act now has companies, most people don't use secondary contacts anymore. They promote them to main contacts, and then they can then be part of the company, and then you'd be able to email them and record history for those contacts. Okay. Anything else, Vic, for now?
No, not right now. That's good.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. I'm just trying to think. Have I missed anything, Ken, on Act for Outlook? Sorry,
there's one more question. Will there be an option to choose none when attaching history?
Gotcha. So for recording, I'm guessing? Yeah. So, many people ask us that, and that's why we created this button here. So there's no default for none, but that's why we created this button where it says send without attaching. So you just hit that, and then it doesn't record to the history for that contact.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. I think I'm going to move to Act for Mail, but Ken, I just want to make sure I didn't overlook anything.
Yeah, I wanted you to review the contact and calendar pushing back and forth. Did you cover that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we sent the contact and we sent the activity over.
And did you go the opposite direction? Did you go from within Act back to Outlook?
We did not.
Okay, so you may want to show that from the calendar standpoint.
Not great. So you're referring to like if I changed the like rescheduled or just a new one?
You see at the very bottom of
Yeah,
your drop-down list? So
Right.
that allows you to send, because most people are used to Outlook being sent into ACT, we also added the option to send it the other way.
Gotcha. So let me go to Nav's other one, because this one's already in Outlook for you guys. Actually, that one's in Outlook too. Let me just create a new one then. Just do a new one. This one on the 20th. All right, so on our 20th there, we're going to right click on that activity and send to Outlook. Message sent to Outlook. Let's go over to our Outlook now and take a look. Okay. And there we have that email on the 20th.
The other nice thing to point out is that it's not just singles. You can actually hold down the control button and select as many activities as you like, right click, and it will send them all to it.
Does it do it from the task list, Ken? Let me see here.
I don't think so.
Oh, it does.
Oh, it does.
Nice. Okay. So
Awesome.
yeah. So when doing the multiple ones, the task list would be a little bit easier for everybody, just because obviously it's in a list format versus highlighting little ones on the calendar. So.
Okay, I've got 2 questions. Someone asked about synchronizing. We mentioned at the beginning, we do not support synchronizing contacts or calendars. It's just a push. So you push contacts or calendars from Outlook to ACT or from ACT to Outlook. There is not a synchronizing function. And then Scott asked about email headers. Okay, does that get attached to history? He's referring to send date and CC information, as well as subjects.
So let's go and show you. So if you look at the history here, so here's basically what you're going to see in the history. So yeah, you will see the, who it's from, the reply as far as, if you reply to that person when they sent their email, but you won't see your necessarily sent email unless if you have an attachment now, you'll be able to open that email up and see. Actually, it doesn't even show you. It still doesn't show you the header when it was sent, though. If that's what he's asking. I'm not sure. Okay.
Well, isn't that in the header there, the ACT setup?
No, it won't show you that. No, it just shows you. It just brings up the email almost as if you just were, creating it almost. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Scott seemed happy with the answer, so that's good.
Okay.
Another question, is there a way for activities to synchronize automatically?
So once again, it's not a synchronization necessarily. It's a push, but there is a way, as we did here in our settings. Not the wrong settings. In the ACT database settings, under activity settings, automatically show create activity. So we'll pop up a window anytime an activity is created in Outlook. It'll pop up a window for you to create that then in ACT. So basically, you're just clicking a couple buttons to then get it over to ACT. So it's not quite automatic, but it's pretty close. Okay, I'm going to move forward to ACT for mail because I don't want to short change that time. And then obviously we'll have questions at the end for either one of those. So let me just change my add-ins here. And I'm going to reboot Outlook just to be safe. Not sure why they both showed up there. There we go. Okay, so as you see here, the settings up in the top, pretty similar. It says Act for Mail and says instead of Act for Outlook. So let me show you the way we set up these settings. So it's going to be a little bit different. So because it's a website, you're going to need to know your web API URL. Okay. If you're hosted with us, we can obviously get that for you. Or if you're not hosted with us, we can find it out for you if you need to know that. If you are self-hosted, we can find that information out for you. And then the database name of the Act for Web database, and then your username and password. Okay. Then you log on, and it'll let you know if you're successful or not. If you're not successful and you know your username or password, then oftentimes it's something with either the database name or the API. So once again, you can reach out to us for help to get the correct one for that. But then as far as these tabs go, they're going to be pretty similar here. Okay. So I'm really not going to go into depth into these. What I'll do is I'll go over the things that are different in each of these, in case there are any differences, just for lack of time here. But basically, history recording, we see the same thing that we saw in the other one. Incoming messages, same thing, and then the update as well. Okay. The about, that's going to be same thing as well. And then let's go over to Act Database Settings. Okay, see the same thing there. Activity settings, history settings, and the contact exclusion settings. So once again, the settings for both of those are almost identical. The main difference being in this login part, this login screen. Okay, the initial screen where it's either a remote. In this case, once again, it's going to be a web database. All right. So let's get in here and create a contact from one of these contacts. Okay, so let's go back to our friend nav. Now, one of the things you're going to see missing from the right click, and this is important here, for Act for Mail, there is no go-to contact. Okay, so it will not work with the web. So there is no part of that within the right click of this. So just something to be aware of for that. Okay. Let's go ahead and create a contact in Act. Okay. I'll just put in the company name and create it. I'll do the link again. It's created. I'm going to bring over my web database here. Spell it right. There we go. And there's that contact, and also the company creation as well. Okay. I'm not going to go over all the steps again because it's basically the same thing. I just want to show you how quickly you can get up to the web. And then I want to show you some of the things that are unique to Act for Mail versus Act for Outlook. Okay. So let's just do a response here. Okay. Once again, we have the same three icons: send and link, send without attaching, or send. And as you saw there, it's already in its history. Okay, that's how quick we can get it onto the history. All right. So what I like to do now is sort of show you some of the little, I guess we call it additional features to Act for Mail. All right, let me get that over here. Because what it actually has is sort of its own template editor, and also you can its own merge manager, so to speak, that you can merge without even being in Act. Okay, so as you see here, this box right here, let me just minimize Act so you don't get confused. Close that down. So this Act for Mail here, this is its own standalone product here. All right, and once again, once I input all my settings and everything, log in there. Okay. And then the other setting you'll need to do, so you'll need to know your for web settings. What you also need to do is know your mail settings, so SMTP settings. Okay, to send out mail, as I already have in there. You select a folder, which can be local or on your server for your templates. You select a field for your exclusion. I've created a field in this demo database called email permission. You can have it be any field you currently have, or you can create a new field if you wanted to. And then whatever the value is in that field that for contacts that you don't want to get that email. So any contacts that have denied in the email permission field, even if they're in the lookup I'm sending to, they're not going to get that email that I'm sending out. History settings, how do I want that email or that history to be recorded? And once again, we have another update tab, whether or not you want to check for updates automatically on startup. So let me show you the template editor. So we go to Act for Mail, Manage Templates. And I created one a little bit earlier. So the template editor, the extension is going to be A4TPL, Act for Templates, okay? Let's go ahead and open that one I did earlier. Okay. And so to enter a merge field into there, over here on the left-hand side, you have the insert merge field. You select your entity you're choosing from, whether it's the contact, the My Record, or the opportunity. And then you select the field and double click on it. Okay. So here, basically, this letter is saying hi, and then I had the salutation field put in there. Thank you for purchasing Act for Mail. If you would like assistance with the installation and setup, please reach us at service@kkc.ca. Let us know if you need anything else. Regards. Then I have the My Record here. So I want the My Record and then contact. So it's going to put in my name in this case, but if somebody else sent this email out, it would pull in their name from their My Record contact when they sent that email. Okay. And then I have a logo here as well. If I made any changes, go to File. Maybe I want to save it as a different name. I change the name of it there. But if not, I'm good to go. I'm going to send this out. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Just want to show you that template. And just to go over this a little bit quicker, or just a little bit of it, this template editor, you have the ability to insert pictures, insert tables, hyperlinks, page breaks, headers, footers. So it's a very powerful template editor that you can add things to when sending out these emails. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is actually send out the email. And so I'm going to merge the email. So I go to Act for Mail, write, merge to email, choose my template. Decide who I want to send it to, select the contacts, and by that, it's going to, on the next page, it's going to allow me to select the contacts I want to choose. All contacts in a certain group, so I can choose the group I want to send to, if I want to do it that way, or my entire database, all contacts. In this case, I'm just going to do select contacts. Not spell his name wrong.
So there's a quick question, Lubs. Can I
There we go.
upload current templates in Word docs to become Act for Mail templates without recreating them?
I believe there is a converter within the publisher that converts Word documents, but we'll confirm that. There might be some tweaking of the actual formatting, like any converter.
Actually, there is, because I use it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it does work, Krista.
Okay. Yeah, and then like Ken said, once you do that converter, you obviously want to check it to make sure, because sometimes, especially if you have any kind of, if you're doing tables or graphics or things like that in your original one, you may need to adjust it accordingly.
Yeah, and any formatting you might have to play with a bit.
Yeah.
Now, Lubs, I've been answering questions, so I haven't been able to listen perfectly, but did you just cover that we can't use existing Act for Web templates that are stored within the Act for Web folders?
I did not say that. I guess I sort of said around it, but yeah. So they use their own templates, their own template editor. We don't use the templates that are the ADT templates.
Yeah. So just for clarity, because a lot of people will expect that they can use the merging and kind of browse to the templates that are stored on the hosted servers, and there's no direct access to that. The API doesn't provide direct access to that. So that's why you can only do the merging of the hosted templates within the hosted environment. But this is for local templates on your hard drive or on a network shared resource.
Makes sense. And that's why in the initial setup, everybody, there was that you selected your default template folder. It's not the template folder to the web. That's the template folder that you would have locally somewhere where you're going to store these. Okay. Mail blast time. So if you could send it out now or you could send it out later, you select your time or date and time, and then it sends it out at that particular time. Okay. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to enter the my subject here. And you can make it even more personalized by inserting a field here. So maybe I'm going to insert the salutation field here, so that the email is even more personalized. You can CC additional addresses or BCC additional addresses as well. And if it's a large, let's say it's 1,000 contact email, and maybe you're CCing yourself just to make sure you see what it looks like. You can CC only the initial email, so that you're not getting 1,000 CCs. Here's if you want to change your reply to address. So maybe you're sending it from your email address, but you want it to reply to maybe a general inbox at your place so that everybody who has access to that inbox can see the replies. You can do that there. And once again, if you're sending it a large one, I would say anything actually above 25, you'd want to split it up into batches. So what we recommend here is 25 a batch with 30 seconds in between. So you would change this to 25 and then 30 seconds. So once again, it would send out 25 right away, wait 30 seconds, 25, and so on and so on and so on. Basically, that sort of keeps you from getting, the spam and whitelisted and all that stuff. So that's what that helps you with.
Because you are using your own mail servers, so that's very important to consider.
Right. So the advantage of that is that it's not going to lock up your Outlook as well, because it's not using Outlook, it's using your own mail servers. But you just want to make sure that you are, using it properly. Here's a place where you can add attachments. So if you want to send out some kind of a flyer or something, a PDF, a Word doc, you can just hit the add button and add those particular attachments.
We strongly recommend you hosting a link to an attachment and send that out instead. People often don't do the math. If they add a 1 meg file and send it out to 3,000 people, they can end up creating massive problems with their mail server.
Good point. Yep. And if you want to record the history, you would check that box and choose wherever you want. Let's just put the subject here for this one. And then this is just sort of a review of what's going to happen. Next again. Does its thing. I'll be aware if there's 1,000 in here, this will take a little bit longer than it does here. But you'll see a progress bar going across as it sends them. And then finish. And then let me bring over the Act for Web, and then there's that email that was sent. Thank you, Nav. Okay. If we want to actually see what it looks like, here we'll just merge it to Word just to show you what the actual output is. And then there's the Word file. So that's what when he gets an email, that's what the email is going to look like on there, and then the body of the email.
Okay, Lebs, we've had a lot of questions about how Act for Outlook manages invitations.
Okay.
Can you give a quick preview? Because a lot of people will accept invitations in Outlook, and they want to see that that's immediately transferred over to Act and what that looks like.
Sure, absolutely. So here's an invitation from Nav, okay, about Act scripts. And I'm going to go ahead and accept it over here, as you normally would. Accept, send a response. And it goes over into my Outlook calendar when I do that. There it is, and I can right click and then send to Act, send activity to Act.
But with an invitation. Like what happens when you send an invitation to someone from within?
Oh, I'm sorry, sending it to somebody. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Or sending or accepting an invitation. It will present the box that automatically indicates that you can save it to your Act calendar.
Yeah, let me do that. Okay. All right, so let's say I wanted to schedule an activity with Act. I'm sorry, with Nav, create activity. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. call, set up, and then right here, where it says schedule meeting in Outlook, I'm going to check that. Hit create. So this is going to put the activity on my Act calendar, okay? And it's going to open up this invite, as you see here, to send back to Nav, so that he can then put it on his calendar. Send that. And if you don't have anything in the location, it'll prompt you with that message, send anyway. Okay. So now that activity is on my Act calendar in Act, and then on Nav's side, he's going to get that email, and there's that activity, and then he'll get that email and then accept that invitation. And then if he's using Act, he can right click, send Act, or he can have it in Outlook if he's not an Act user.
Now, is there a setting within Act for Outlook where you can show them how to enable or disable the invitation feature, so that when you accept an Outlook invitation from someone, it will automatically be added to Act?
Correct. Yep, we went over that before, but yeah, that's once again, it's in Act database settings, and it's going to be the same for both. It's the same thing. Act database settings, and then activity settings, and then right here where it says automatically show the create activity whenever something's added to the calendar.
Excellent.
So what that will do is, if you had that checked, like if I accepted this invite from Nav here, as soon as I accepted it, there would be that box that popped up that said create an Act. And then I would just hit create, and then it's an Act. I wouldn't have to go to the calendar and send to Act. It saves me a couple steps there if I have that box checked.
So we only have a few minutes left. I wanted to kind of go through some of the commercial side with people so they actually knew which products to buy and which were related to their setup. Was there anything else you wanted to cover, Leps?
No, that was it. Yeah.
Ken, one more thing, just quickly list requirements or where they would find them, because we've had a few questions about requirements.
Yeah, I'm just going to cover that now, but what we're going to do is, because we've had a lot of questions about the recordings as well, so we're going to send over a link to the recordings within the next 24 hours. We're also going to send over a link to the Act for Outlook and Act for Mail page, which at the bottom includes all the system requirements. Okay, but what's really important at this point, I mean, system requirements certainly, but also knowing based on your setup what you should be buying. Okay, in one respect, it's very, very simple. If you are a pro user, you only have access to Act for Outlook. Okay, if you are a premium and pro user with version 21 or older, and you have a 32-bit version of Office from 2010 forward, then you need to get Act for Outlook 3. So let me repeat that. Act Premium or Pro with V21 or older and a 32-bit version of Office, you need to get Act for Outlook 3. If you are a Premium or Pro customer with V22, with either 32-bit or 64-bit versions of Act, okay, then you can use Act for Outlook version 4. So I just want to underscore that. If you have a 64-bit version of Office, previously you would have had to uninstall it, downgrade to 32-bit. But ACT version 22 made changes to the SDK that allowed us to support 64-bit versions of Office. Okay, so that's important. And then premium customers with no local versions of ACT, we strongly recommend ACT for Mail. Okay, the commercial side is, as the Lubs indicated, the ACT for Outlook is $35 or $36, and it's a perpetual license. So once you buy it, then you've got it forever. It is licensed per activation, so it's per machine. Okay, and so is ACT for Mail. ACT for Mail is also licensed by activation, but it is a subscription, so you have to pay the same price each year. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, and that was some of the commercial details I wanted to cover.
Excellent. Last thing, Michael, if you could bring up our website and just show them where they can also find all our videos of all the demos that we've done, that would be great. So not only within 24 hours, we'll have this one up there as well, but Michael will show you where to find all the other ones that we've done. So this is a resource. If you're ever stuck or have questions, this is a great place to go. So if you go to our main home screen, keystroke.ca, scroll down, and then towards the bottom, you will see training, free training or keystroke training videos, right on top of Ken's picture there. So ignore that picture and just click on keystroke training videos.
Push past it, don't ignore it, push past it.
Sorry. And here, these are all the ones that we've done on the Thursday. So please feel free to go through them. And if you're not sure what's in there, just click on it. And in the first couple minutes, we do a quick description, and then you can see if it's worth watching.
And Lubs, can I get you to click on the Our Programs menu at the very top? And then click on Act for Products, and then scroll over to Outlook Integration. This is the page that actually compares and contrasts ACT for Outlook and ACT for Mail, discusses all the features. At the very bottom of this page, you're going to see system requirements as well. But this covers a lot of what we talked about today. And then here's a handy comparison chart. You can click on the plus sign at the beginning of any of these to kind of expand and see what features are supported, what programs are supported, okay, and what versions of ACT are supported. Then here's some screenshots. Here's a video that we made. And at the very bottom, we cover the system requirements, versions of Office, versions of ACT, so on and so forth.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending. You will get an email within an hour where the link that Ken just talked about here under our programs will be in the email, and also something fun in there for you to take a look at. And oh yes, we do have one of our staff has a birthday today, so if any of you feel led, feel free to wish Courtney a happy birthday. She would appreciate it.
She would love it.
But look forward to responses to the emails. We do have a naming contest in there, so please take a look at them. And also go to our website within 24 hours to look for the recording from today's webinar. So thank you very much, Michael and Ken, for leading us through this. And if you have any more questions, you can also email us, vic@kqc.ca and michaelk@keystroke.ca. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.